What's up everybody, welcome to part 2 of the Round the Wheel by the String Cheese Incident piano tutorial. In this one I'm going to be going over the piano solo note for note that Kyle plays on the studio album version of this song. And needless to say, it's an amazing solo, and I think there's a ton to be learned from the solo that can be applied to your playing elsewhere. The way that I would recommend going about this is using this video for reference for all the correct notes and actually just getting the phrases correct, and then I would go and listen to the song a bunch. I actually went onto YouTube and found the song, and then you can change the speed of it to 50% or 75% without distorting the notes. And so for me, that was a great way to actually play along and learn the timing of all of these notes and then working it up to full speed eventually. So go ahead and use this video for reference and to learn the correct notes, but then I'd highly recommend playing along to the album in order to actually get this solo down. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so leading up into the jam section, like I mentioned in the part 1 of this video briefly, we have this A diminished chord that is played on the piano, but played in this inversion, so really like an F sharp diminished, and played in octaves. So Kyle plays that kind of piano part, which leads into these chords, which is an A minor chord. So for this jam section, we're going to be operating in A minor, but we're in the Dorian mode, which is just a fancy way of saying we have an F sharp instead of an F natural like we would in a normal A minor scale. So the scale we're going to be using is A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. However, you'll see a lot of this is actually going to be just operating in the minor pentatonic scale, which is A, C, D, with this blue note occasionally, the flat 5, E flat, then E and G. So after we play this lead in, we're in A minor, and piano is playing these A minor chords, A minor 7 chords, which I'm just playing an A, E, C, a G, and an E. And if you listen to the studio version, you'll hear the timing and the rhythm of this, but we have basically these alternating clusters of 2 A minor 7 stabs and then 3. So I'll show you what I mean. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 2, then that's 3. And if you listen to the studio, you'll hear what I mean. And so after those first chord hits, Kyle does this really cool kind of chromatic, tension-y chordage. So we've got a C chord, a D chord, and then chromatic E flat. We have an E flat major chord. So you'll hear, if you listen to the record, I'll just kind of play how this first phrase goes. So 3, 4. 3, 4. So you'll see it's pretty straightforward except for those 2 little tags on the end. And so the first one is just C, D, E flat, D, E flat, played like this. And then we go through those chords again, and the second time it's just going to be C, D, E flat, D. And then that leads into the actual piano solo. So I'll play that all again just one more time real slow, and then we'll get into the solo. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. Alright, so getting into the piano solo, I'm going to be breaking it up into about 2 measure chunks. And so this first chunk is going to be all in A minor pentatonic. So I'll play it for you guys real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4. So as you can see, all A minor pentatonic. We're starting on the G here, and we're going up the scale, then coming back down. I'll play it again for you, this first part real slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Once we get to this D, we've got this little riff, which is pretty common. You'll hear Kyle do this kind of thing all the time. I mean, including the whole song Galactic. It's kind of a similar riff in a different key, but so we've got a D and a G, which you're hitting at the same time, and then kind of rolling up to this E flat, and you're keeping your pinky on G here, and just doing that kind of movement with your first 3 fingers. And I'm hitting the G again once we get back to the D, so. And so far we've got 3, 4. And then we're finishing this phrase with another A minor pentatonic little riff. So just A, G, E, C, A. So that's kind of the first chunk. Let's play that one more time. 3, 4. Cool, so moving on to the next bit, still going to be minor pentatonic. Starting on the A here, we've got kind of this triplet riff going down the scale, the minor pentatonic scale. So it sounds like this. So, as you can see, we're just working our way with this pattern down the scale. 1, 2, 3, then back up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then once we get down to the G, we come back up to the C, and then there's this little slide onto the A, and then kind of just resolving back to the A. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's that whole phrase. Cool. And once again, please use the YouTube video for the Round the Wheel. Someone uploaded the studio version of Round the Wheel to YouTube, like I said in the intro. Go ahead and listen to that. Slow it down to 50%, 75%, so you can really get the timing down. I just want to be going over what the notes are here. So after this first 4 measures that we just went through, which was pretty much all A minor pentatonic, we have this really cool upward moving riff that uses the whole A minor Dorian scale. And this is a riff that this is probably one of my favorite parts of the solo. I think it's really cool. I'd heard Kyle do this kind of thing before in the past, and it's really great for just building tension. So we're going to be working in just these broken thirds, and what I mean by that is all of the intervals here are going to be thirds. So let me just play the actual riff for you real slow. So as you can see, we're moving just up the scale in these like triads here. And the left hand is kind of following and just adding this little percussive hit in front of each little triad that we're breaking up. And the pattern is the triad is first being played upwards, and then we're moving to the next triad and playing it downwards. So starting with, you could think of it as like an A minor chord, then a B minor chord playing down, then a C chord playing up, then a D chord played down, E minor chord up. This would be like an F sharp diminished, down, G up, and then we've got at the very end a similar riff that we played earlier, very similar to the that we played earlier. This one is just, and we're ending on this D. That's how I think of it, at least. That's kind of where this phrase ends. So really slowly, all together, I'll play this ascending riff for you. And I'm just trailing with the left hand and adding little notes in before each of the phrases. So cool. And as you can see, that's a really cool riff that when you break it down, it's not that complex. It's pretty intuitive, all stays within the scale, but it just adds a good bit of tension and is a really cool sound, I think. So let's look at how we come into that from the previous phrase. So previous phrase was cool. And once we get there, we have so this next phrase is going to be, after we have this, after we end on the D here, we have just more minor pentatonic. So we're on the D, then C, then back up to the D, and then we have this riff, which is, we got a C on top, we're using these fingers to slide, and then a very familiar riff that we've seen a few times already in the solo, and we're gonna see some more. I'm gonna go ahead and just play everything we've done so far, so you can hear it all strung together. So 3, 4. Cool. So that is the first half of the solo, basically. After that phrase, we're jumping all the way up here, and we've got this riff. And so we're hitting that high G up here at the same time as we're hitting this E flat, but then we're sliding it down to a D, C, then A, and then I'm using my left hand here to add this quick G before hitting the A again. So slowly that sounds like. And after we get through that 3 times, we go up here and play this D with the G on top still. So I'll just play this part real quick for you slowly. So that's that phrase. As you can see, once again, all A minor pentatonic, but just really cool phrasing and a great lick overall. So yeah, to finish that off, we're doing this riff, which we just saw earlier. And I'm keeping that C on top up here. So 3, 4. Next, we've got this really cool kind of chromatic riff to build some tension. So we're going to play A, then down to D, and then chromatically up to E. So, and then we've got this riff. So what that is I'm using my left thumb down here on the A, because you'll see how it kind of adds this extra note and extra percussive element to this riff. But in the top, we're playing in these fourths, is how I think of it. So we've got a D and a G, and then each time we're playing C and A after our fourth up top. So first we have this fourth, and then we come down chromatically to this, and then we do the same pattern though with these 2 fingers. Then we're back up, then we're up again chromatically, and then we're up to this fourth, which is like an A minor chord. So this right hand is just doing, it's this chromatic movement, as you can see, and then we're just adding these little hits down here. And after you hit this one, this pattern is done, and you hit this, and then kind of like what we did up here with the sliding down. After you hit this, and then resolving, playing D, C, and resolving to A. So let's look at that last phrase real slow. So cool. So let's play that from this part real slowly. So 3, 4. Cool. All right, got that down. Now we're moving on to another really great riff that's working in these broken thirds, kind of like how we did down here, all in thirds. It's a very like Herbie Hancock kind of style riff, which I think is very clear in Kyle's playing that he was influenced by Herbie. But I mean, even players like Bill Evans use a lot of these like 7th chords throughout the scale. And that's what this riff is going to be. So I'll play it real slowly for you guys first. 3, 4. Cool. So You can kind of just think of it as, yeah, we've got these seventh chords all throughout the scale. And in this case, we're going to be playing them descending. And we're just going to be breaking them up into different patterns. So we're starting on the B here, which is the ninth in this in the A minor scale. So it's a really nice sound, and the way that it starts this riff, I think it really just grabs your attention. And so you can think of it as like this E minor 7 chord that we've got here, but we're starting with the B, and we're doing this pattern. And so after that, we're just going to be going down in the scale, but still a seventh chord, and we're just doing that same pattern. So now we're over like a D7, you could think of it as, and we're doing that same pattern. Then down again. You could think of that as like a C major 7, and then down again. You could think of that as like a B minor 7. So cool. So far we've got this. And then once we get to what would be this seventh chord in A minor 7, then we're just going to change the pattern and start going just down these broken thirds. So starting with G. So we start off with this pattern. And then once we get here, we just start going down it. And after we play this one, this F sharp half diminished chord kind of shape, then we resolve with a D, C, and then you guessed it, we're back to this riff that we've seen a few times in the solo. And then we are just about done with the solo. After this, we're just doing these this riff. Which is something you hear Kyle do and other piano players all the time. We're playing, it's basically just playing this 5 up to 7 in the key of A minor, so E and G, sliding into it. Then we're playing this sliding into it again, A, C, and then we're just doing the same thing but up an octave, so, and then finishing with A, G, and then that'll bring us into the chords at the end. But let me just run through that last part, starting with this. Alright, so I'll play it real slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, awesome. That's basically most of the piano solo. In terms of the actual like riffs and licks, we're gonna end though with some chords. And just like earlier, we're gonna be playing a C chord. And once again, listen to the song for the timing. But we're playing C up to D. C up to D again. Then C, D, D, C, then up to E flat. And then we've got this D flat in here. So I'll just play how this would sound real quick. 3, 4. final phrase of the solo. We've got similar patterns, C, D, and then we've got this final chromatic run, which I play down here with the help from my left hand. C, D, C, D, E flat, D, E flat, E, E flat, E, F, F sharp. And so slowly that sounds like this. So as you can see, that's all chromatic. I'm just playing the chords, but basically that's just C, D, C, D, E flat. And once again, listen for timing from the studio album. But that leads us then into the finish of the jam section, which is going to be kind of like the intro to the jam section. We've got this riff. So D minor, E minor, F, then just working its way back down. I'll do kind of like this slide that I heard Kyle do in the studio version, where ending on the A minor again. Then same thing, second time. Ending with that voicing. Then third time. Third time we're ending on an A major chord. Then the final time. On the final time, I'm ending with this like shell of an E chord, but not playing the third. Wait a second, and then I'll play some E dominant seventh chords. And that is the 5 chord to A, which brings us back into the basically the chorus of the song, starting with this little bass line riff, which is very similar to the mandolin riff that we learned in the first part of this video. It's just outlining an A chord, landing on the F sharp, which is the third of the D chord. So F sharp, D, F sharp, then outlining the A chord again. Then that's just an E chord played down. And then that's C sharp to E. Alright, so to end the song, we just have a little change up. So we're in the chorus, and we've got this mandolin lick that we talked about in the part 1 video. But then there will be a little bit of change to end it, so here we go. We got A chord, then D chord, played just in this inversion on the mando. Then we've got a B minor 7, then an E, and then finishing on the A. There's like a hit and then a drum fill, and then so yeah, that's the end of the song. I hope that you guys found this tutorial helpful. I hope that that solo made sense. I know I kind of like rushed through it, but I didn't want this video to be too long. And like I said in the intro, just let that be a tool that you use to see what the actual notes are, but then go ahead and practice it over the studio version. You can change the speed of it on YouTube and practice along. That's what I did. And yeah, there's just a ton to learn from transcribing solos from players that we admire, and I know that I learned a ton from transcribing that solo about the way that Kyle is thinking when he's soloing and the different licks that he uses. And I definitely intend in future videos to do more solo transcriptions. So as always, leave me a comment below if there's a specific song that you'd like to see me cover next, and thank you for tuning in.